Alright guys, so today we are going over a marketing strategy for clothing brands. It is probably the most underrated marketing strategy for brands that are on the come up right now. All the big brands have used this for a while now. Smaller brands are catching on, and the brands that are about to blow up or have recently blown up have all used this one marketing strategy. I will be heavily implementing this in my brand, and in this video I'm going to talk about how you can implement it in your brand, how I've done it for mine, and give you guys some examples of brands who have done this, and we're going to walk through this step by step. So what is this trump card that people have up their sleeve? Well, it is called micro-characterization. And if you look at all the brands that are really winning today, brands like Nude Project, a lot of the LA-based brands like IONGAF, Yurimon, 2K Studios, brands like that, they're all using this strategy, and it's given them a leg up in this past year in 2025, and will continue to do so for probably the next several years. And this concept is real simple. You're basically going to turn a real person into a character that is seen in a recurring format, whether it's you, yourself, or your team, or models, basically just people that are seen again and again and again in the content, and these people serve as characters in the kind of TV show world building that you want to create with your brand to create this kind of cult connection between audience and brand. Because these days for product marketing, the best marketing is content that is as close to a movie or TV show as it can get while still containing the product. The best marketing for a brand would probably be a Super Bowl commercial, and it is implanted into a piece of content that could very well be the most viewed piece of content in 2026. So basically, you make a TV show where the characters interact with the world, they interact with the product, they interact with each other, and it creates this connection between viewer and character within story that gives them kind of an emotional bond and kind of like allows them to find characters they relate with more or less. Similar to like the show The Office, right? If any of you guys have seen like kind of like a sitcom type show or a show like that where there are multiple characters and they're shown in their own element and their own characteristics and personalities are displayed, if you've watched any of that stuff, you know that over time you begin to like different characters more than others, and that could be due to relatability, it could be due to respect, it could be due to them just having more swag, right? Some dumb shit at the end of the day, but regardless, you are connecting with certain characters, and most people will begin to support those characters even outside of their role in the show. For example, the show Breaking Bad. Bryan Cranston stars in that show, and a lot of people who love Breaking Bad are just Bryan Cranston fans after that, and they'll go and they'll watch any movie and appreciate it because of that. Even down to like TikTok memes. They'll like a Bryan Cranston meme and think it's funny just because they like Bryan Cranston, because they like his character in the show Breaking Bad. And the purpose within this marketing is not necessarily to model the clothes, but to more so tell a story that contains characters that people like, that they resonate with, and kind of build a world around the products for people to live in and people to consume. So before I get into what micro-characterization is, you need to understand why the old way of doing things is just obsolete and doesn't work anymore. So basically, most brands are used to kind of like housing everything that their brand presents under one central entity, and that central entity is going to be the brand itself, right? Now, in the world of content, product showcase, marketing online with social media, there's only so many things that you can do to market your product and stand out from other people. So basically everything just gets redundant. We've all seen it before, and unless you're like a super high fashion brand that people follow simply for the art and the way the garment is made, get one thing straight. Number one, you are not the big, huge fashion labels. None of us are. None of us have been around for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. All right. None of us have multi-million-dollar budgets. We are working with much less notoriety and eyeballs. So basically, we have only so much to work with, right? In terms of marketing tools. And what micro-characterization offers is a way to differentiate you and your brand's story and your brand's marketing from every single other brand. And the reason for this is because there simply cannot be one character in multiple universes. So what you have to do is you have to make it unique. And having a micro-characterization strategy with people positioned as characters in your universe, nobody can copy it because you're one of one. Your story is one of one. Nobody can replicate your story and replicate the personalities that each person brings to the table. And a lot of my personal research indicates that Gen Z and millennials are really losing faith in their brands. Like traditional connection devotion and allegiance to brands. And I'm noticing that basically the cults of these brands are kind of falling apart. And the reason for that is because consumers are more educated than they've ever been, right? And no clothing brand is perfect. There's always going to be something that goes wrong, whether they fall short and use like the wrong material and everybody finds out and there was a mistake, or maybe there was a fulfillment issue, or maybe a member of that working team did something that nobody likes, right? There's always going to be something that isn't perfect about a brand. And with consumers being more educated, they're seeing these flaws, they're calling them out, and they're kind of like breaking and losing a lot of that allegiance. And what I'm noticing is that most of Gen Z and millennials who do buy clothing, they are all prioritizing personalization, value, and community when it comes to picking a brand to choose to support and choose to rep and buy from. And basically, in short, what that means is that this younger generation that prefers this social first storytelling is honestly going to determine how well your brand does in the foreseeable future. Because these guys can get a t-shirt anywhere, all right? They can get a hoodie anywhere, but what they can't get anywhere is real human connection. What they can't get anywhere is feeling seen and feeling heard by a certain person or character that they relate with. What they can't get is a community where they feel like they're part of something outside of themselves, like something bigger, something more. Okay, so what is the micro-characterization strategy and how does it differ from other types of content? Well, let's get into it. So the core definition of this strategy is a recurring person interacting with the product or brand and the audience at the same time. Not just showing a product, not just a random person modeling, but a real interaction happening on both levels, right? So subject engaging with product, wearing it, testing it, trying it on, using it, doing a skit in it, acting in it, whatever. And then subject engaging with the audience, right? Engaging the camera, addressing the camera, talking to the camera, right? Whether it's talking directly to the audience or to a said figurative audience, if they're doing like a film or like some kind of movie or skit, right? So just to give you a clear idea of things, let's watch this example from Cy Wonder on TikTok.
I designed a hat, IONGAF Glat. Tell me it's not Steve. This is one of my favorite designs.
I conceptualized this September last year.
That's the IONGAF FF logo now.
So the first brand we're going to look at today is IONGAF, and I'd consider IONGAF to be probably one of the fastest growing clothing brands, specifically in the LA fashion scene in 2026. So in this video, we see their designer breaking down one of the pieces he designed, right? The IONGAF Glat mask or something, right? He talks about what inspired him to make it, where he got the references from, why he loves the piece so much, you know, and he explains the lore behind their like gaff stitching, right? So he's talking about something he cares about the product, interacting with both the product and the audience. And he's basically explaining the shit that only like the diehard fans of the brand know to a broader audience. Because on the surface of this video, new viewers don't know that this is a video promoting the brand. They see that it is a clothing designer talking about something he is making. That's two different things, right? It's not an ad, it's somebody talking about something they love and something they created, which is two different things. Most people want to watch the latter, right? They don't want to watch an ad. They want to watch people doing things that they love. And in the process of watching this person doing what they love, right, they're introduced to the whole world of IONGAF, and they kind of just get sucked into it by watching something that is user generated. So here's how this works, all right? These characters are going to be featured both on their own page and occasionally on the founder's page and occasionally on the Instagram's page, right? But it is most effectively leveraged when it's from their own page and it's from other people's pages that also have their own page that's independent from the brand. Almost like you're getting to see something that the brand followers don't get to see. For newer brand owners that maybe have a following on their brand's page but not on the individual's page, I'd encourage you to start a page for yourself and have your other characters start pages for themselves and kind of push to those pages from the brand's page. That is my current situation. And in a minute, I'm going to go down exactly how I am going to go about implementing micro-characterization with my brand this year, like to the T, so that you guys can see it and then just copy it for yourself. Now, in the early stages of your brand, it's just going to be you because it's hard to get other people involved, right? You probably won't have homies that are also putting work into the brand that you can really document. And that's exactly how it was for me. For the first 2 years of running my brand, it was pretty much just me and me documenting and me only, because I was really the only one running the brand, at least in front of the camera. Another example of somebody who's done this really well would be Marcus Milioni from Minted New York, or Caro from Caro Crafts, right? They're pretty much the sole face behind their brand, right? So basically, you guys have heard me talk about founder-led brand marketing, right? Well, Micro-characterization is essentially just the next fucking level. It's taking founder-led marketing and then doubling down on it, like founders-led marketing. And the way that you kind of want to execute this is going to be by creating something called a content flywheel. And it's essentially where you create content systems that kind of interact with each other. So for example, brand founder makes a video talking about this new collection that he just shot, right? And then brand cinematographer makes a video talking about how late he was up at night editing the new video. And his followers are kind of connected to the brand because they see, oh shit, well, like I'm seeing the same BTS here. I'm seeing the same story here. I'm seeing the same faces here. This must be connected somehow. Let me get invested in what that other guy's doing. Let me go check out his page. And then once they go to his page, it's like, okay, they're both centralized by this one thing. They're both connected by this one thing, and that is the brand. And then they go to the brand, right? And if you can do this on multiple different accounts, right? So for me, maybe my designer, maybe my cinematographer, maybe my operations manager, right? We're all making videos talking about basically doing the same job, but different parts of that job. Essentially, we're all gonna drive traffic to the brand, and we're gonna build like this big fat fucking ecosystems with 4 points of acquisition, which is just like getting people's attention, pulling people into the world. And before they know it, they're kind of like watching this friend group or this business group interact, and it's entertaining, or it could be informative, it could be educational, it could be inspirational. And all of those things kind of pull people into the universe and suck them in and make them a part kind of what you're doing, right? Because they kind of want to be a part of that like group dynamic. They kind of want to be a part of like the friend group they see. So while we're on the topic of this content flywheel, I want to show you guys one of the brands that I believe is executing this probably better than anyone else. All right, we're going to take a look at K2 Studios, which is ran by Caleb Keller. All right, Caleb Keller was a content creator that I actually watched way back in the day before I even started posting on social media, and he would just post his outfits. He would post shit that he was wearing. He would post maybe a sample that he made, right? But the brand K2 Studios wasn't really like a thing. Yeah. And then I watched over time him build the brand, right? And most of the time when he was building the brand, it was kind of from his face. It started with him. Here's what I'm dropping for my brand. Kind of like what I've done for a long time now, right? But this year, this 2025 was different. This 2025, I started seeing videos from other people on TikTok talking about working with K2 Studios, right? And it started with this one guy, Elmo. Elmo is their graphic designer. He does a lot of like their tags, and he does a lot of projects for graphics on t-shirts and stuff like that, and flyers, graphics, whatever, right? And every single time that he does something for the brand, he makes a video about it, and he addresses being part of K2 Studios, right? He includes it in the hashtag of every single video so that when people look up K2 Studios, they see him. And basically, he makes a video and he kind of has like a little gag with each video, kind of like a gimmick, right? That alludes to the brand with every single video, right? His gag is, or his like gimmick thing is, my boss is a douche. And obviously, him saying his boss is a douche, right? He's like alluding to like a brand owner boss. He's doing work for a clothing brand. Okay, what brand is it? Let me watch the video. Oh, it's K2 Studios. Because a lot of it is him doing logos and shit. You know what I'm saying? So basically, all the employees will post videos like that. The designer does the same thing. And from his point of view, he doesn't show the graphic design. He more so shows the product development and the garment design, right? So doing samples, all these one-offs, doing handmades, DIY, showing all the cool shit, cool product, photography, shots, stuff like that. And then before Black Friday of 2025, all of a sudden, I started seeing tons and tons of videos left and right from this employee and that employee, and then Caleb, and then the brand's page, and then all these different pages. And I'm like, how the fuck am I seeing all this shit? And then I followed one or two of them because I wanted to tap in and kind of get a little more of a visual on this. And then every single video I noticed it said reposted by, and then the other people would be the other people who run the brand. And that was when I was like, I got it. So I went to one of the profiles, I went to the reposts, and all the reposts are just K2 videos from other creators, not from themselves, from the brand's page, from Caleb's page, from the designer's page, from the graphic designer's page, and then from all these UGC creators' pages who were paid to make a video about them. Some of them weren't paid. I'm sure some of them did it for free, just for free product in exchange for the video, right? But regardless, there's tons of videos and they're circulating, and we're seeing it from this perspective and this perspective, and how the fuck are so many people involved in this brand? Let me get a closer look. That's what's going through everybody's head, right? So everybody gets a closer look. And if the product is good enough and the storytelling is good enough, the identity representation is good enough, the product showcase is good enough, the website, all of that, right? The framing to the product, then they're going to buy the product because it's a hype thing. And then proof is in the engagement of their posts. If you look at the engagement during Black Friday versus the engagement before Black Friday, you'll see a sharp increase, right? You go from like 2,000 likes, 3,000 likes, 4,000 likes to like 17,000 likes, 20,000 likes. I think one of their posts had like 30,000 likes. I was like, bro, holy shit, where is all this attention coming from? It's coming from this micro-characterization flywheel. And they were one of the best examples of execution of this specific strategy I have ever seen. So hats off to Caleb Keller and Elmo and the whole team at K2 Studios. You guys killed it. Great case study. Thank you for setting a great example. Now, to execute at the level that K2 is displaying this strategy at, you need a team and you need an engine that is run by different people, right? With different jobs and different contributions to the brand. And obviously this doesn't come right away. This comes with time. Some people can start with multiple people with different roles, right? Some brands are started by 3 people, 2 people, a group of people, and it's going to take time. You're going to have to scale your business a little bit so that you can actually afford to get people involved, to get people who can help you build your business involved. If you guys are interested in building your brand and kind of speed running that process, avoiding a lot of the trial and error, I'd love for you guys to be a part of Urban Unity, which is what I've created to basically help my younger self kind of skip all the trial and error, where we basically just teach you guys everything there is to know about this clothing brand shit from A to Z. It's kind of like university where we follow a syllabus, a curriculum, we have homework, we have a grading system, we offer feedback from high-level coaches. We have 5 group calls a week, 2 from myself, 1 from one of my mentors, and then 2 from 2 of my inspirations, OG, who got me into the business. It's honestly a really, really great community. Lots of immediate feedback. Would love to have you guys in there. If you are interested in that, the application is in the description of this video. Without further ado, let's get back to the video. Now, let's talk about how I personally am going to use this strategy to take my brand from $1 million to 10 million in the next few years. All right. So I currently have a 5-man core team. I've got 2 people who run kind of the front end, and then I've got 2 people who kind of run the back end, right? And then I am more so the driver. My brand kind of works like a 4-wheel drive car, where each wheel is putting in work. I'm steering the car. I'm applying gas when necessary, the brake when necessary. And my goal this year is to make a character out of every single one of those 4 other people, in addition to myself. So here's my strategy. We're going to start with 1, and I'm going to tell you guys exactly how I am going to implement this strategy with Caleb. Caleb is one of my co-creatives. He does a lot of our event and photo shoot planning. He pulls a lot of references for us, and I plan on making him a character in the universe. And I've already started this. I've already kind of laid the groundwork for this, but I'm going to get into exactly how I'm going to do this in this video, and I'm going to kind of demonstrate it. So it all started with Complex Con of 2025. Basically, what I did was I took a cinematographer out to California, one of my homies. His name is Nick. And basically we did a documentary series where it was like a 4 or 5 part series. In this series, the biggest priority for me was showcasing the group dynamic. And if you go and watch these videos, I'll put some of them on the screen, you can really see the fact that we're highlighting that. Camping on the side of the highway on the way to Las Vegas, all working together to load everything, different people doing different jobs. And then we'll have voice bits where it's kind of like a voiceover or an A-roll section from each character, so that we can kind of put a voice to a name, put a voice to a face of each character. And that was kind of the start of everything. And what I noticed was that I enjoyed Caleb on camera the most. I feel like the audience enjoyed having Caleb on the most, and I feel like Caleb had the greater, more interesting contribution to the brand. So what I did was I started incorporating Caleb into the content on the brand's page that I would typically post. And this is going to be more the user-generated content, right? User interacting with product, interacting with audience, right? So something like a sample unboxing. So me and his first video was a sample unboxing. And he was a model for us for probably 5 or 6 months. So people saw his face over and over and over. And then they saw him in the documentary. And then they saw him in the sample unboxing. And then we did 1 or 2 more pieces of content with Caleb specifically. And now, boom, all of a sudden people know who Caleb is. And people wondering, oh, who's Caleb, right? So now the next step is putting together a content strategy for Caleb so that he can begin creating this funnel to the brand from his own page. Okay, so the first step of this was basically going in ChatGPT and giving it a full rundown of everything that I know about Caleb, right? His strengths, his weaknesses, his roles in the company, where I feel he is best implemented in this content flywheel, my relationship with Caleb, Caleb's relationship with the other employees. And basically what I asked it to do was produce me a document with exactly how we could implement him into this content flywheel system. And we're going to go through it together. And some parts of this are going to be good and some parts are going to be dog shit because that's just how AI is. And I'll kind of highlight what I like about what it produced and maybe what we will utilize and how we'll utilize it. And I'll also mention the things that I don't like because there's a lot of things about AI that I don't like, specifically when it comes to really leaning into like nuance and character and like uniqueness and shit, right? Sometimes it fucks up. But okie doke, Caleb, micro-characterization, the tastemaker and curator. This is pretty good. That's a good, accurate description of kind of how I want to present him. Doing events, doing photo shoots, doing editorial, helping pull references. He's the person who finds references, sources the inspo, hunts vintage pieces, all things that he does. His over-consumer power translates to pop culture, film, vintage finds, obscure references. I would say that definitely is true. I did include in the breakdown that he was a very, very good consumer, which is why his taste is as refined as it is. Definitely could use work, and me and my other co-creative definitely help support that, but it is very good. Proof that taste can be weaponized into something valuable. He is proof that a consumer's taste can be weaponized. Grounded reality check. In the world of brands trying to be aspirational, presents the world just guys working towards a goal. I would say that's probably not as good. We probably won't use that. Content ecosystem. We're taking heavy inspiration from K2, as you were told. Replicating Elmo Small's content structure, as you were told. Okay, time-based. My boss texted me 11 p.m. working on designs at 12 a.m. because the deadline's tomorrow. I like that one. I don't want to take the shtick from Elmo. I don't want to take his kind of like gimmick. We got to kind of make up one of our own to use repeatedly, and figure out one that kind of works with Caleb and my dynamic a little bit more. Started at 8 a.m. Now it's midnight and I'm still sourcing materials. This is good. Task-based, deadline-based, absurdity-based. I like definitely these categories. My boss wants 20 reference points by Friday. I think the whole my boss thing can be implemented sometimes, but shouldn't be like all the time. Like my boss, my boss, my boss. I don't think it should be all the time. Boss called during the gym session. He's not really a gym guy. We could change that. I don't know. These are decent hooks though. A decent kind of direction for the hook. So I'm kind of liking that. How to use the gag in content. Okay, I don't want to use this gag, so this is honestly kind of just like not even super relevant. Mid-video, voiceover on B-roll while showing work process. My boss gave me 40 hours to finish these. Again, the boss shit. We got to change that. I gotta have him change that shit. Wait while at a coffee shop, while thrifting, while working in the process. Okay, yes, that's good. I like the B-roll showing those things, being in LA, right, working amongst clothes, going to the flea markets, being at Melrose, doing research, doing development in the office, things like that. I do like that. All right, end of video, payoff, shows finished work, worth the overtime. Okay, yeah, I like this structure, right? So an opening hook, mid-video, use of B-roll, and then end of video. Super easy, super simple. Integration with other content pillars. Okay, reference hunting, product building, design process, lifestyle content, product showcase, drop announcements. I do like that. I think these are great bases for video concepts, drop announcements, product showcase. Like literally I could assign him a schedule of videos to make where we are leading up to a drop and I'm like, I need one of each of these videos: hunting the reference, building the product, designing the process, lifestyle content, showcase, and then drop announcements. That covers all the bases. It showcases the product in many different ways. Why this gag works for Tamed. It aligns with the brand philosophy, chasing superior, impactful imperfect self, the grind, the overtime, the effort. Yes. All just guys working towards a goal, showing the real work behind the brand. Yes, that does make sense. It humanizes the brand 100%, shows products that aren't massively produced. Yes, it shows intention behind products because it shows us everything that we put into the product, the thought process, the design process, all of that, the referencing process. Okay, so personally, after reading that document, I think that gives me a pretty clear look into kind of how I'm going to implement. I'm going to revise this a bit, and I'm going to incorporate more ideas and concepts that kind of showcase the user, which would be him, interacting with other members of the brand. And I think also there's going to be multiple pillars of this where it's going to be his personal content. This is kind of just a strategy for his personal content, but I'm also going to build a strategy for kind of like an external funnel of content, which could be YouTube, it could be a TikTok page, it could be an IG spam page, and I want to make that page more engineered for interaction between employee and employee, right? So interaction between like myself and Caleb or Jonathan or Nick or, Connor or any of the guys, right? And I think that is going to be something I also want to sew into the personal branding element of each character themselves. Bunch of other great examples would be the owner of Broken Planet, the owner of Minted New York, the owner of Yurimon, the owner of IONGAF, the owner of UVU. Those 5 are pretty good examples to kind of get a first good peek at, to kind of understand what founder-led marketing looks like as far as an example. Then I'd encourage you guys to watch this video, which is basically just a masterclass on marketing, kind of like a free course for marketing. As always, I appreciate you guys showing up. I'm in your corner. I know this brand shit is difficult. I know it is not easy. My younger self would have loved to have a YouTuber like myself to watch, which is why I took it upon myself to begin making these videos. I appreciate you guys' support. If you guys have any requests for other videos that you want to make, just throw them in the comments and I will get to cooking. I'll see you in the next one.